Trying to print up something hot off the presses just for us, so bear with me shortly. And the printer keeps jamming. It hates me. I'm telling you, having a Monday on a Tuesday. Well, no, it's Wednesday, right? I don't know what day it is. How's everybody doing today? What you got? Live. I'm live. And I need information out of this printer and it's not giving it to me. And it sucks because it's about LA County and I'm trying so hard to get it out. Give me a minute and I'm just letting everybody in. So we're just still getting started here today. Sorry, everybody. My printer is acting a fool. But I need to give you some information. Yes, we can, Arlene. I wanted to talk to you anyway. I received a nice little package from you last night. People take good care of me. Come on, I just want the information about LA County. And I don't want to be the spoiler. There it is, the last page, the one I wanted. I got all happy. Okay, bear with me while I walk into the meeting room so we can be quiet and alone. Thanks, guys. Sorry. I'm just determined to get you this information as quickly as possible. I had to print a book to do it. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? I'm just checking because I'm getting situated now. I went live before I was ready to go live, but I got good information. Is everybody sitting down? I'm gonna read this out loud, okay? And my last statement, well, we're gonna add Patty's 2 cents to the last statement. Letting people in. Okay, here we go, you guys. Ready? I'm gonna read it. Are you ready? COVID-19 protections for many LA County renters will come to an end after December 31st, with officials signaling that they won't extend that date again. Yee! Okay, hold on, there's more. This means many renters will no longer be protected from eviction if they can't pay their rent due to the pandemic-related economic hardship. The date applies to much of LA County, but not the city of Los Angeles. However, city leaders have also been reconsidering proposals to start phasing out protections at the end of the year. The County Board of Supervisors has repeatedly voted to extend protections with each new deadline. But today, for the first time, they voted explicitly to mark December 31st as a defined end date. I think the headline will be, and this one sucks, okay? But now it explains the why, okay? I think the headline will be, this board must love homeless people. They're going to make so many more of them. Supervisor Krull said, and Krull and Solis cast to the 2 dissenting votes. So they're the only 2 people that voted against stopping this. Many homeless policy experts credit local eviction protections and bans on rent increases with reducing the number of Angelenos falling into homelessness during the pandemic. How come the article didn't say a damn thing about us landlords that are losing our houses to foreclosure because of this bureaucracy and bullshit? Get back, Patty. Don't go on a tangent. Pull yourself together, girl. So what can I tell you? There's light at the end of the tunnel. And it ends on New Year's Day. So when your tenants ask, what are we going to do about my rent and my delinquencies and my thing? Well, with a fresh new year comes a fresh new start. I'll see you in eviction court, folks. Fresh new year, fresh new start, right? That's what we're going to tell these tenants, and then we're going to evict them. So my big goal today was to notify you there will be no phase 3, no phase 3 in LA County regarding the COVID protections. Okay, they have phased out phase 3. It is gone like the wind. There is no more BS starting January 1st of 23. This ends on New Year's Eve in LA County. Got it? LA City, a little bit different, but they're also trying to phase out the COVID protections and so forth. So all of you guys writing your letters, sending your emails, making your phone calls to county supervisors, to the board, they listened. They heard us. Finally, they understand. Okay. So that was my big happy news of the day. I'm sure we have lots of things to talk about, you guys. Anything new about San Diego City? Not a word. Happy New Year. Now get out. How about the city of LA and RSO? I don't have any updates on them yet, but from what I understand, and I'll reread it again. Where did I put it? I lost it already. It says the County Board of Supervisors. Oh, sorry. Here we go. The date applies to much of LA County, but not the city of Los Angeles. However, city leaders have also been considering proposals to start phasing out protections at the end of this year. So it's in the works, folks. As far as the city jumping on board, they may, I don't know, but the county jumped on board. Yee! You guys are doing a great job. Keep calling those supervisors in the county and tell them they're crazy crackheads. Don't tell them. All right, you guys, it is hot in this room and I came in here a half an hour ago just to try to cool it off before I got here, but it's not happening. What's everybody got to talk about? Issues we got going on? I'm just happy because there's light at the end of the tunnel in LA. It made my day. Somebody asked me about late fees in LA County. You can charge late fees. What else does somebody ask me? Somebody asked me something yesterday and I kind of went, huh? I don't remember what it was. What do you guys got for me? You got stuff for me or nobody's got anything? And I don't know anything about City of San Diego extending their protections, but they'll probably follow suit with LA. It's just usually what they do. So the chances of them following suit with LA County and LA City are actually relatively high. Yay. 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 Hi, Patty. Hello. Okay, here goes my girl. I got a letter. Questions regarding the move out at the end of this month. I have a resident in a Larso unit that had COVID and received funds from Housing is Key to cover that rent until the end of March of 22. He still owes unpaid rent for 5 months. I got a notice from him that he will terminate his tenancy on 9/30. I have 1 month security deposit. If I need to charge for cleaning and or repairs to the apartment after he vacates, can I deduct the cost from the security deposit? I don't think he'll ask me for the initial move out inspection since he's moving out. Would I be able to apply any of the remaining security deposit to the balance of unpaid rent? Absolutely. I will need to get it in writing for him. Is that okay to apply it to the unpaid rent balance if I get it in writing? I believe that it already ended. So what we need to do is figure out if you're still affected by it. Hang on. March 31st is when we had the covered period, the protected period, and the transitional period. So March 31st of this year is when it officially ended on paper. So starting in April, you can put April, May, June, July, August, September going forward on a disposition of security deposit. It's not considered COVID rents. Even though the county extended a pandemic, it's not under the state law. I'm sorry, you guys, I got a hair stuck to my lip or something. It's driving me crazy. I think I got it. I hope that makes sense to you. So yes, you can charge them starting March of this year on a disposition of security deposit. It's rents owed prior to March. So between March 1st of 2020 through March 31st of 2022 is the COVID protection garbage. So if the tenant moves out and owes rent, if they owe rent between March 1st of 2020 through March 31st of 22, you cannot deduct those from the security deposit, but everything else you can. I hope that answered your question. And I got another one from Val. So a tenant walked into her home with a medhead thief in her bedroom. Yikes. She screamed, she left and dropped a cell phone. I boarded up her broken window. She has renter's insurance. I'm swamped and my team is working overtime on other jobs. Do I need to do the actual work to replace the window, or is this an insurance matter? Your insurance may cover that. Her renter's insurance is not going to cover the break-in at your home. So you have to fix the window, you have to fix the door, the rest of it falls on the tenant. I can't believe the guy broke into her house and dropped his cell phone. You know, God always said, karma's good, karma's great, even better if you get to watch. No, you're not gonna claim it on your insurance, Val. The tenant, let me say it this way. You are responsible for your own dwelling. You are not responsible for her personal items. So if the window got broke because that's how he broke in, you as the landlord have to provide habitable premises and fix that window. Her renter's insurance covers her personal belongings that may have been stolen, but it sounds like you acquired a new phone in the process. Every once in a while, you guys, we get one that happens that we go, yes, I can't believe intruder left his cell phone. Can I get a judgment for past due rent? Absolutely, sue in small claims court. That's how you do that. How long is a boarded up window considered habitable? It becomes a habitability issue after 30 days. A broken window is considered a habitability issue because she can't open the window or close the window. I'm sure it's not the only window in that room, so it's not a habitability issue, it's an inconvenience, but you want to get that fixed within 30 days, give or take. LA is getting rid of the COVID protections. I am ecstatic about that. So is all of my LA people right now. They're probably jumping up and down and screaming and yelling. Yeehaw. Anybody have anything else for me? I'm sorry, these answers just flow sometimes. And apparently today I'm doing fine. Got everything going. I believe we have a webinar coming up with AGLA later this month. I do need to check on that because I don't know the date or the time. And I probably have it in my calendar. I just don't have it in front of me. Just trying to give you guys a heads up. So we have an AGLA seminar later this month if you guys are interested in that. And then the first week of October is going to be a little wampus with our Wednesdays with Widget. I believe I'm canceling one because I'm flying, and then the next one will have no problem, but I'll keep you guys posted, okay? Here we go, here we go. Lee, hi, how are you? What is the best practice if a tenant provides a rent check that is $50 short? Do I need to email, or I'm sorry, do I need to mail him a bill, or can I just mail him the bill? Do I need to mail him a bill, or can I just email him the bill? Do I return the entire check and ask him to mail me a new check? The shortfall, the tenant's been there for 3 months and has paid other rent in full since. Tenant did not pay rent in full. I am justified of billing a late fee of $150 for this. Yes, yes, and yes. So to answer your question, there's several different ways you can handle this. Number one is how I would do it is, hey, I got your rent check, but it's short $50. When were you going to pay that? What's going on? You know, see if it's an oversight on their part, if they did it in error, whatever it may be. But say, yeah, I need to get the rest of the rent because it wasn't paid in full for this month, and now you have a late fee because of it. See how that worked? So just wanted to talk to you, make sure everything was okay. Did you not remember what your rent amount was? I mean, you can play a little bit of understanding. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of camaraderie. Did you forget how much your rent was? You know, did you not pay the full amount in error? I try to approach it very lightheartedly at this point, but let them know that there is a late fee. The correct process and procedure of property management would be to serve a 3-day pay rent or quit for the rent of $50 and a 3-day curable breach of covenant for the $150 late fee. And Lee, as nicely as I could say this to you, this is your chance to prove your power. Okay. They may have paid it rent short in error. They may have paid it rent short on purpose. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The reality is, this is how you show them you're going to do your job. So I'd call them, let them know, hey, you didn't pay the full amount of the rent. Is everything okay? What's going on? Was it an oversight, an error? Is there something I should know? Also, I wanted to bring to your attention, you now have a late fee on your account. So the total that's owed and due payable now is $200. And I wanted to see when you'd be making that payment. So I do the friendly conversational thing first and try to start it that way, but don't budge on that late fee. Don't, This is a test. It's a test to see if they can pull one over on you in the future. So you're basically setting the standard of how you expect this relationship to go. So I'd call and be very business professional friendly, if you will. Hey, it's Patty calling. I just wanted to bring to your attention that you paid your rent short this month by $50. I don't know if that was an oversight or an error, but now you have a $150 late fee. So the total owed on your account is $200. Just wanted to talk to you and see when you would be in to pay that, or I can go ahead and serve notice if that's what you'd prefer. Please let me know. I'll be here till 5. Bye-bye. Click. That's how I would handle it. I hope that helps, Lee, but you're setting the precedence. Don't renege on the late fee here. This is going to set the precedence for your whole tenancy. So stand your ground. Our tenant has continually clogged the bathtub sink with hair and they're not responding to paying the invoice. Just leave it and deduct it from their security deposit if they move out. What city is it in? It helps me know what cities they're in, you guys. Beautiful LARSO. That's what I needed to know. If it was outside of LA County, I would advise you to serve a 3-day curable breach of covenant on the unpaid bill for the clogging. Remember, twice a year is considered wear and tear. Anything more than that is considered as excessive. So with that being said, if you've already done 2 for this year and now you're getting them excessive, then I'd start keeping a log of them. Don't charge them at this time. You could bill them at goodbye. After the pandemic, we may take a different approach. So ask me again about their past due balance in January. Right now, don't touch it. Put it on their ledger. They owe it. Leave it alone. Right. I forgot about 2 times a year wear and tear. What about a child's toy stuck in a toilet? As a property manager, I had a desk drawer in my office that said, things found in toilets. I had a Bic pen, you know, that you write with, a writing pen that was pulled out of a toilet. And I had these all in Ziploc bags with the property address, so they were labeled, okay? I had a drawer of them, things found in toilets. Patty, why would you do that? One day, tenant called, toilet's clogged, it won't take anything, water's overflowing, whatever. Called the plumber, plumber says it's jammed. Something's in there. I said, okay, can you get it out? He goes, not without breaking it. I said, break the toilet. He goes, I'm gonna have to because it's jammed in there so bad. I said, see if you can save whatever was in the toilet and break the toilet. He says, okay, Patty. So he broke the toilet to get it apart. He actually had to. It was wedged in there so badly. It was an angel figurine, like a decoration that was on the back of the toilet. We called it the poop angel. Yes, come on, you got to have some fun in this industry. Okay. So the tenant comes in to pay her rent the next month, and I tell the receptionist at the front desk, when she comes in, come get me. I want to know if there's something I need to speak to her about. So she came in the office to pay the rent, and I said, hey, I wanted to bring to your attention something. Do you have a few moments? You can come back in my office. She said, yeah, sure, Patty, I'm coming in. So she came in, I went into the desk drawer, I pulled out the bag with the poop angel in it, and I said, does this look familiar? She goes, yeah, I had something like that on the back of my toilet. Why? I said, that's what was in your toilet, and you have to pay the bill. Oh. So just so you guys know, this tenant did not understand liability, okay? You never want to admit to anything. Well, she admitted to it, unfortunately. I had to charge her for replacing the toilet, and that was my evidence. So if I ever got drug into court, if they ever argued that they didn't have to pay that, I mean, come on. So I'd keep things that were pulled out of the toilet as far as kids' toys, G.I. Joe, Barbie, whatever. It happens, you guys. It really does. So I kept those things. So if there was ever an issue at a later date, I would have that as my evidence. Even in a flood, and I'll give you guys a great example. A tenant moved out of a property, removed the refrigerator, their refrigerator, and disconnected the ice maker line. They didn't tighten up the water supply for the ice maker line when they disconnected their refrigerator and moved out. So water ran for several days and flooded the unit. So when I get out there and find out that there's an issue, because when I walked in the front door, the carpet went squish, squish, okay? So I went around and found that they didn't shut the valve off. I had the plumber come out and replace the valve. 45 bucks I paid for him to replace the valve, just so I could show up in court later when I sued him for the $5,000 worth of damage, him shutting off the water valve. destroyed $5,000 worth of damage in this house, okay? In the event he would have argued that the valve was faulty, I now had it. So for 45 bucks, I had the golden ticket that would say he was responsible for that $5 grand. He actually paid it and didn't put up a fight, but it has to do with gaining your evidence, keeping your evidence, lining up your ducks. I'm big about, I don't go to court unless I know I can win. I don't want a 50-50 chance. I don't even play in that temperature water. I want to win, or I'm not going. So I'm going to gather as much evidence I can against that tenant to help protect me so I don't look like a fool, okay? And if I have the valve where I can hand it to a judge in a Ziploc bag and say, it's not faulty, Your Honor, he just failed to turn it off. And he can't say it was too hard to turn because I turned it. I did it. He just didn't shut the valve off. Simple mistake, huge problem, okay? But yes, those things come in very handy in court trials, especially when something like that goes on. If you have it, gold. So I had somebody that moves tenants out of a house and they add pet urine on the carpet. Pay attention to this, you guys. It may help you. Okay. Tenant vacated. Was pet stains on the carpet. Tried to have the carpet cleaned, wouldn't clean. Now we got to replace the carpet. So when they replace carpet and they pull that up, you want to take photos of it. You want to take photos of the stains on the padding, on the backing of the carpet, on the pad. You want photos. Got it? Well, this particular landlord actually cut squares of the carpet out and squares of the padding out and put it in Ziploc bags. I thought she was crazy. Crazy. Okay. Until the tenant tried to sue her in small claims for not getting her deposit back, and I showed up in small claims with her. She pulled out these baggies and handed them to the judge and said that she could open them if she'd like to, but she suggested she didn't do it in her chambers because it was quite atrocious. Kind of hard for them to argue when you're holding the pee-stained carpet and the pee-stained padding. Okay? These are things you guys can do to help protect you in the future. Please take note of it. It works like gold. Okay, I saw somebody else comment, so let me go back through my comments. 2 times, child's toy stuck in the toilet. What if a plumber states it's definitely the tenant's fault? If it's the tenant's fault, then have them put that in writing. And 2 times a year only counts on clogs, like for a clogged drain due to hair or something like that. 2 times a year is a courtesy. Actually, it's more than a courtesy in LARSO, 2 times a year. It's considered wear and tear, and it's not excessive until it's over 2 times in a year. Thank you, Cliff. I had several tenants that did not shut off water valve to fridge. Great tip. Yeah, it happens a lot. They don't shut that valve off all the way, or they don't even think about it. And it's such a small amount of water, they just think it'll stop dripping. It doesn't stop. So yeah, I just sent the plumber out there, paid him $45 to put a new valve on because I wanted to show the judge if he tried to fight me, because this one was $5,000 worth of damage. And if he tried to fight me, I wanted to have enough ammo in my pocket that I could back the landlord up, or the homeowner, if you will. So remember me, I'm the one that wants to gather as much evidence and things as I can to help protect my landlord against those types of things. Thanks, Patty. I don't want to evict the tenant if he doesn't pay the late fee. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. But you want to take control of the situation, let them know that you're the landlord and you plan on adhering to those terms of that written contract. He didn't pay the rent in full, so you're implementing a late fee. Okay. You can deduct it from his security deposit when it vacates. I wouldn't evict over $200, Lee, either. I agree with you tenfold, but this is a chance where you get to show them I'm the landlord. You can send a bill, but I'd call and see what's going on and just make them aware. And then just put it on the ledger so that it always rolls forward and that you're reminded to take it out of the security deposit when they vacate. Arlene, my ideas of pet urine is on hardwood. If the pet urine is on hardwood, yeah, you're still gonna have to have a flooring company come out there and tell you, did it buckle the wood? Did it do damage to the wood? Did it seep into the foam barrier under the wood? And now that has to be replaced. See? So contact the flooring vendor. They're gonna give you much better insight of what would have to be replaced than I would. And if they have to replace that underlying foam sticky barrier between the subfloor and the wood floor, that barrier, if they got to replace that, yeah, probably needs enzymes too. Yes, most definitely. But if they got to replace that, I would keep a piece of that or a piece of the wood floor even, and see what they say. I mean, if they're not arguing it, you really don't need to have so much evidence, but I always try to go above and beyond to protect my landlords, what if they say this and what if they say that? How can I protect them? So that's why I did it that way. And I'll be honest with you guys, it's the same thing I would do for myself. So if my tenant moved out and left the water valve on in the refrigerator and caused $5,000 worth of damage, and I knew that they'd argue, we shut that off. No, you didn't. You turned it, but you didn't turn it all the way off. It still had a small drip, and that is what caused the damage. I want to, because what would I argue if that happened to me? I would immediately say that the valve was faulty, you know? Wasn't my fault. The valve's faulty or something along those lines. So I turned it off. So how would I prove that? What could a landlord do to say that I didn't if I say I did? Oh, what if they had the part and showed me that it just wasn't turned all the way and it actually isn't seized up and seems to be working fine. They just didn't turn it all the way. If I have that part, I can show that to a judge. So just my line of thinking and how I would do it for myself. And if that's how I would do it for me, that's how I would tell you to do it, because it just paints a really good picture. There's all kinds of things that I kept as a property manager for those types of instances. Okay. I did keep a 22 bullet that I found in a garbage disposal. Yeah. I've kept pins that were flushed down the toilet, the poop angel. I had a GI Joe once in a toilet. I mean, you get weird things, lots of Legos. Hey, kids will be kids, right? Adults didn't do it. Strangest thing ever flushed down a toilet, because I get this question a lot. What's the weirdest thing? Usually it's stuff that gets knocked off the back of the toilet as the toilet's flushing, like a bottle of nail polish remover or something along those lines. It happens, okay? Worst thing to ever flush down the toilet other than instant cement. There's two of them, just so you guys know. One is a drinking straw, and the other one is a potato. Two worst things to ever be flushed down a toilet. People ask me, why, Patty? Well, if you flush down a drinking straw, think about how long it is. It catches paper, if you will. And then the paper builds up and it plugs the toilet. And then when they go to snake it, it just goes right through and there's no issue, right? Until more paper gets caught on it again. So drinking straws, bad. The other thing that's bad is a potato. It goes in, plugs the toilet, plumber comes in, punches a hole through it with the snake, and then flushes everything. Everything's fine. But as soon as paper or anything that's not liquid goes through, it plugs it again. And then they just drill a hole in the potato in another area until they drill enough of the potato that it knocks the whole potato out. But yeah, and I found that one out because when the plumber reeled back in the snake, there was a little bit of potato on the bottom of the snake. And he actually caught that and caught onto it and said, oh, I know what's going on here. We got to keep snaking and poke enough holes in that potato that we compromise its integrity. But yeah, there's interesting things that you learn in this industry. What can I say? I've dealt with quite a few things, even tenants flushing entire laundry baskets full of clothes down the toilet. Why? It was an eviction. Okay, David, let's see what your question is. You can't get the cement out. So I had a tenant I evicted once. They flushed instant cement down the toilet and put it in the garbage disposal. And you can't get it out. They actually have to jackhammer up that part of the line, the drain line. I want to say that little expense cost that landlord over $20,000 because they put cement in all three toilets. They put cement down the garbage disposal, and it actually set solid in the middle of the main line somewhere between the house and the street. And we had to jackhammer up that part of the pipe and replace it. I'm waiting for somebody to go, what happened to the tenant? Did you put all those charges back on the tenant? Yes, and then I sued them, not in small claims, in general, civil. It could be covered under vandalism on the insurance policy. The owner had an umbrella policy on this particular unit with 11 other units and honestly didn't want to pay the deductible. How important is it to match the loose floor tile in the kitchen? Or is it just okay to replace it with any tile? Ask yourself this question. I don't know, one, I don't know where the tile is. If it's under the refrigerator, who cares what it looks like? Got it? If it's in the middle of the kitchen floor and you have one tile that's white and the rest of them are brown, would you be upset about that as a tenant? I get that it's still functionable, but it's an eyesore. I guess you could put a rug over it if you didn't like the way that it looked, but think about it as resale value, okay? Think about it in the long run. Is your next tenant gonna be okay with a pink tile in the middle of a brown tiled floor? Is that gonna deter you a rental in the future? Did this tenant bust this tile? Because then they're responsible to replace it. And if they don't make that flooring anymore, then I would be contacting the renter's insurance company to see how they wanted to do the new flooring in the property so that it all matched. Got it? You can always create an interesting pattern. David, I got a story for you. I got to share this story. This is a good one. Has to do with the language barrier, and they happen sometimes. So I had, and I don't remember what nationality they were. They were Asian, and I could barely understand them. They called me Pity. Hello, Pity. She said, I finished the declarations at the property. Can you go check it and let us know? Declarations. What is she talking about? Oh, we told her that she had to put landscaping up. She got in trouble from the city because she just had a dirt front yard. So we told her she needed to put up landscaping, you know, bushes, trees, grass. You know those paving tiles? They're like 12 inches by 12 inches or 15 by 15, and you use them as stepping stones to get to like the garden hose. You might put like 3 or 4 of them in your yard. They're pink or they're white. You know what I'm talking about? Big paving stones. Okay, you buy them at Lowe's, Home Depot. They're flat cement. These landlords finished the declarations. They went and bought a ton of those paving stones and set up a pattern in the front yard and covered the whole front yard with these paving stones. Entire. It looked like a hopscotch course out in the middle of the front yard. I'm just saying. So they had different colors, okay? And it didn't quite make a pattern, like they changed patterns mid laying of this tile, and then they changed patterns again. It was a mess, okay? So I explained to them that the city would never allow this. And what you really did was create additional driveway space. Because let's face it, if it's flat and it's cement, the tenants are going to park on it. And now you've made the whole front yard a parking lot. So you might want to rethink about this. I don't think this is the best plan of action for you. So yes, I've seen a lot. I've heard even more, but they, yeah, God love landlords. Thinking outside of the box, man. Hey, and you gotta love them. They had great ingenuity here. They most likely would never have to replace it. They don't have to mow it. They don't have to water it. I mean, hey, I love them for thinking outside the box, but resale value not there. Tenant destroying the property because now it can all be used as a giant parking lot for a big rig. Yeah. So some of the things we do don't always make sense on a rental. Does that make sense? I try to tell people you need towel bars. This is a requirement. They need a place to hang their towel. Well, when we bought the house, it didn't have it. I understand, but you need to have this rent ready. There's a difference between rent ready, sale ready. Okay, there really is a difference between rent ready and sale ready. My idea of rent ready and standard landlord's idea of rent ready, not the same thing. Okay, I want towel bars. I want door stoppers on the doors so that they don't shove the door handle through the wall. I want closet doors on all the closets. I want screens on all the windows. I want all the doors to lock. I want all the windows to lock. Somebody asked me, Patty, why do you push so hard for having screens on all the windows at a move-in? Because screens are a habitability issue in the state of California. And if you don't have screens on the windows, they don't owe rent. I do have reasons to my methods. Some of them people look at me and go, wow, you're really tough on landlords. No, I'm not trying to be tough on you. The law is tough on you. I just want to make sure you're in compliance with it. Make sense? I'm not evil, I promise. I don't try to cost landlords money. I am one. I get it. We don't want to spend that money, but we have to. And I've seen all kinds of very, very interesting things. I was floored on this one. You ready? A tenant was complaining about the carpet in the property and the flooring, and I see why. The landlord bought discounted flooring. It was probably the end of a lot, if you will, and it didn't all fit. The house was bigger. So they tried to splice another carpet in and another floor tile, and it just looked ridiculous, okay? So I told the landlord, just go take up the linoleum. You have a nice cement floor under. And they said, well, it was painted cement from the previous owner, but we were told we had to put flooring down. Wait, what? You mean you have a painted cement floor under there? Yeah. Pull up a little spot I want to see. It was gorgeous. Freaking gorgeous. Told him, pull it all up. Tenant can't complain about the carpet and they can't complain about the tile. It is painted cement. You're welcome. You didn't have to put in carpeting and linoleum. You have painted cement. Do you know how hard it is for them to mess up a cement floor? It is possible. It's not easy. And I've had weird things happen throughout the years. I had a tenant who tried to open a jar of pickles, and couldn't get the lid off. So what do, folks? We bang it on the counter, right? Right on the edge of the rim. We try to get that dent in there. We bang it on the counter to break that seal so we can get it open. So she banged the jar of pickles on this Corian counter, and where she banged on it was right on the front edge of the sink. So you know how there's like a 2 or 3 inch decorative strip and then it goes into the sink? Well, she banged the jar there, and the third time she banged the jar, it cracked the whole damn countertop. The whole countertop. It didn't break the jar, it cracked the Corian countertop. So the tenant had to pay $1,100 to replace the entire countertop. They caused the damage. by trying to open a jar of pickles. I think the best tenant oops I've ever had is a tenant called and said, hi, I just moved in today and I decided to hang a picture on the wall. So I hammered in a nail and the nail shot back out at me with a lot of hot water. The tenant hammered a nail right into the drywall and into the hot water supply line behind the drywall. So when I got to the property, she was standing over this fountain coming out of this nail hole in the wall with a towel and a bucket. Sorry, it's really hot. It was the hot water too. Tenant's responsibility, they have to pay for everything. We had that exact same thing happen without the pickles. Where were the small piece of granite broke in front of the sink? This was new granite in the middle of a remodel. No one took responsibility and you had to replace. Just makes sense, right? Things happen. They happen to all of us. Had a tenant one day, this was my favorite. They were leaving on a week-long vacation and one of the kids had to go to the bathroom. So they ran in the house, went upstairs, flushed the toilet and ran back out and jumped in the car. Nobody knew that the toilet was plugged and it was overflowing, and it did for 5 days. Ugh. Someone probably stepped on it. Oh. So I've had all kinds of odd things happen, and I mean odd. Had a tenant moving in one day and the husband was backing his truck into the driveway while I was standing there talking to the wife. And then we heard this horrible noise. I've never heard it before. High pressure release is how I would describe it. So I walked over there to see what was going on. When he backed his truck into the driveway, he hit the gas meter with it. The gas meter. That noise I heard was gas. Walked over to my car, grabbed my crescent wrench, walked back over there and turned the gas off. Yeah, anything can happen at any given time. We are human. It happens to us too. Don't forget that, okay? And try not to hold it against your tenant when life happens to them, because it will. It happens to all of us, right? So we just need to be careful with it. Does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about or that they need help with? I just know that we're coming up on the hour and some of us really are tight with that lunch hour and you're actually eating while we're doing this. And I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that I address anybody that needs to get back to work here in the next few minutes, just so I don't hang you guys up. I don't know what I pushed. I'm trying. Hang on. Where'd I go? I don't know where I went. Hang on. Okay, I got us back. Sorry. Okay. A new tenant in a small triplex is a partier. The two other tenants are afraid of the new guy. No one calls the cops. 3-day curable breach of covenant, right to quiet enjoyment is where we need to start. He's disrupting the right to quiet enjoyment for neighboring residents, and this behavior needs to stop. Yes, yes, yes. Please, in LARSO, what is protocol for non-payment of current rent now, please? 3-day notice for the month only. Why do I say this month only? Each month, Melanie, they can self-certify that they've been affected by the COVID pandemic. If they self-certify within 7 days of the rent being due, then the past due balance for that month goes on their COVID rental debt that's owed a year from now. Patty, can I sue the resident? I was asking about that is going to move out at the end of the month now. Patty, can I sue the resident? Yes, you can sue. What are you suing for? Help me. I want to tell you to wait till they vacate and then sue them in small claims, because you can sue them for damages and unpaid rents all in one shot, rather than having to go back twice. The only time I ever sued a tenant, just so you guys all know and understand this, the only time I ever sued a tenant why they still lived in a property, I've done it twice. I sued for, I did it twice and I won both of them. I did it for that pool. Okay, so I had a client, had a pool. The tenants had a party and they chipped the paint off the bottom of the swimming pool in a big basketball size hole. No joke, it was 8-inch diameter. Chipped the hole, and it chipped the gunite level too. So they lost the gunite and the pool. And then of course, once you have a chip like that, it starts peeling and goes from there. So I sued a tenant. I had to charge them to re-gunite, patch the pool, paint the entire pool, refill it with water and chemicals. So I sued them while they still lived in the property for that expense. Tenant caused damage. People ask me, why, Patty, what happened? I don't know a nicer way to say this, so just work with me. The tenants had a keg inside the pool, like a beer keg. And somehow the beer keg chipped to the bottom of the pool. Yeah. Yeah. So that was that. Now I don't know where I went. There I am. Okay. I saw something else come through. If the partying is prior to 10 p.m., is that still against quiet enjoyment? No. They can still call the police for loud music. I understand that it's not fun for other tenants. They can ask them to keep it down. If it's not after 10 o'clock, he's not breaking the law, but he's still creating a nuisance for neighboring residents and affecting their right to quiet enjoyment. So I'd remind him that he lives in a community with 2 other families and that he needs to be mindful of his noise level so that it doesn't disturb other neighboring residents. There you go. You could do it on a 3-day curable breach of covenant for right to quiet enjoyment. I hope that helps. Does anybody have anything else? Most of the time when I sue a tenant, I do it after they vacate. I've only done it a couple of times while they were still in possession of the property. I did it on the chip in the pool from the beer keg, and I did it on something else. And for the life of me right now, I can't remember what it was. I must be getting older. But I can't remember what was the other one. I can see the tenant's face and I know her name, but I can't tell you what I sued for in small claims while she was still in the property. Watch, I'll remember at 3 o'clock in the morning. It'll wake me up and tell me, do you remember this? Right, exactly. Otherwise, they'd flush a potato down the toilet. Instant cement. I've seen interesting things happen at move-outs. The worst one I ever saw was a foreclosure. And I went to the move-out, but I didn't have to because the landlord didn't own the property anymore. It got foreclosed on. The tenant was extremely bitter. They actually stole all the fixtures. So the shower head, the sink faucets, you name it, garbage disposal. They tied all of the cords for the blinds in hundreds of knots. No joke. It took them hours to do that. Okay. We just pulled them off the wall and threw them away. I mean, $20 for a new blind, or sit there for 4 days trying to untie all the knots they tied in. Nope. 20 bucks, new blind. Tenant's responsible. So yeah, I've seen a lot in my career. We've seen some interesting things. Some things we just don't talk about. I was thinking,
Patty,
yes.
one time I had a tenant in a multi-unit. Just to revenge, he ran the water day and night, until a month and a half later, I found out the bill is so high. And I know who did it, but there was no way I could prove it.
Yeah, sometimes that kind of thing going on sucks because we can't prove it. Usually in eviction, they'll even go get the garden hose and run it down the sink in the bathroom just to cost the landlord money, strife, you know? But yeah, they do some interesting things. And the reality is, why did he do that? Did you evict him, David? Did you evict him for non-payment of rent and he got angry because you evicted him because he didn't pay his rent? So he destroyed your unit or tried to cost you money? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Well, you know, he was a weird guy. You know, he had the ADHD, and you know, something probably someone said he didn't like, something like that. It's been a long time ago. I don't really remember.
I know that feeling, but it's frustrating when they do something intentionally to try to harm us. I had a tenant do that at my mom's rental when my mom was still alive. And we showed up at the property. She gave my mom some sob story about the rent. It didn't matter to me because I was sitting in the back seat of the car writing a 3-day notice. And I'd get out and hand her the 3-day notice based on the balance that she just handed my mom. And the lady says, well, I just told your mom I'm going to pay her in 2 weeks. And I looked at her and said, apparently you don't recall when I told you what I did for a living. Because I'm about to do my job. You have 3 days. I want my rent. That tenant did some damage to that house when they left. And I don't know that it was them. I can't prove it. Proof has to be beyond a shadow of a doubt. So when I got the keys at the court hearing, I went to the property. Thank God I didn't take my mom. The kitchen counter was in the fireplace in the living room. Yes, the kitchen counter was inside the fireplace in the living room. They smashed a bathtub, a sliding glass door. They spray painted on the walls. The police actually found an incendiary device in the garage. So just so you guys know, a birthday cake candle inside of a book of matches is considered an incendiary device. Yeah, that one was bad. That one cost me almost 80 grand, 80. Smashed a bathtub, a slider door, ripped some cabinets out of the kitchen. They ripped them right off the wall. Spray paint on the carpet, on the living room, in the bedroom. They took something and smashed in one whole side of the bathtub. I would guess that they were bowling inside the bathroom. But what do I know? Here we go. When should I call you? Thanks. I sent you an email yesterday. I have to run. Arlene, call me at 6:30. That's a good time for me. I'm off work by then. Last question from Val. I pay water. I almost read that wrong as winter. I pay water in a few multi-family units, wondering how to ask tenants to pay for water like the triplex. Several people in one unit, only 2 people in another, so it's not sure to divide by 3. Same with duplexes. Yeah, you can. Hold on, Val. you want to use the RUBS method, RUBS. Yep, or you can contact Livable and they'll determine that for you. They help you take your bill, break it down by how many residents, and break it down to what they would be paying each month. And then they actually charge the tenant a fee, I believe, for paying their utility bill. And that's how they make their money, is on the tenant's end, not on your end. But Livable can help you determine using the RUBS system. So now that I mentioned RUBS, let me just say this so everybody knows what I'm talking about. The RUBS system basically, and I'm going to use a duplex as an example. Let's use your triplex. Let's say that the water bill is $400 every month on your triplex. Using the RUBS system, you would take that by how many units, and we got to count them as 4, not as 3. Okay. And I'll explain why in a minute. And then each one of the tenants would be responsible for 1/3 or 1/4 of the bill. Okay. So 3 tenants, each responsible for 1/4 of the bill, the landlord responsible for the last quarter. Patty, why is the landlord paying part of the water bill? They don't live there. You're right, they don't. However, somebody has to keep up the water on the grounds for watering, okay? Keeping the grass green, okay? And I'm sure that you might have laundry facilities there, you know, like a washer and dryer. So the landlord is charging for water being used in the washer with quarters, right? Landlord's charging, but landlord has to supply water. Okay, hope that makes sense. So when you break it down by a 20-unit apartment building, you break it down by 21 units because the landlord's responsible for 1. That would be your common area watering and common area water for the washing machine, which the landlord collects revenue on. So they need to be responsible for paying part of the water. Yeah. Try Livable. Anna, I was thinking of suing now because I know where he lives. He did not leave me a forwarding address, which then noticed that he received to vacate. Won't know where to serve him after he leaves. I'm gonna keep this simple for you and try not to make it too difficult. Fast eviction service is where I work. I don't know if you guys know that. They are a full service collection agency with skip tracing capabilities. As nicely as I could say this, they can run, but they can't hide. We will find them. Okay. So even if you don't know where they're going, they can't hide. We will find them. Your collection company, if it's not Fast Evict, can find them just by running a skip trace. Very simple process. One tenant started a garden, corn, etc. This wasn't in our rental agreement. However, it wasn't stated they could not have a garden. It's about the water usage. I understand that. And you can have a conversation with them and let them know we weren't planning on paying for you to be able to grow your own fruits and vegetables. It's not a requirement. So we could change the rules stating that no gardening's allowed, no cultivation, agriculture, etc., which means simply that they can't even grow an avocado pit in the windowsill. So you could do a non-agriculture disclosure. Anytime a landlord is paying the water bill, you want to make sure they're not growing a garden. Because 9 times out of 10, they will, the second they realize they don't have to pay for the water. I got another one, hang on. You got it. Or I could give a 60 or 90-day notice to raise rent as I've already raised this year. How much did you raise this year, Val? $9.3 and 10% is no. I don't think you're at 9.3, baby. You're at 10%. The CPI is at 7%. If the CPI is at 7%, we can do 5 plus the CPI. That would take you to 10 because it caps out at 10. Don't necessarily want you to do a 60 or a 90-day notice. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw that as vacating, not as a rent increase. So if you're, thank you, Hilda. I'll see you Monday. If you already did 9.3 and that's all that's allowed, you can do that increase once annually. But you could do a notice of change of terms of tenancy stating that the tenants are responsible for 1/4 of the water bill. Or that you could change the rules if they're on a month-to-month and do a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy in the rules, saying that there is no agricultural or growing of agriculture issues allowed on the property. That would stop them from having house plants. So gardening in the, yeah, you can't say you can't have a vegetable garden, but you can have a house plant. I mean, you got to hit it broadly and take out everything if you do. So the risk is yours. You can either make them each responsible for water, or you can tell them that because you pay the water, you're not going to allow them to grow agriculture on the property. It's really hard to govern in single family residences and in interior growing. Because come on, we're not going in these houses every day. What would I do? What would I do? What would I do? I'd contact Livable and see what they would charge to set up a RUBS type system at the property, making tenants responsible for the water bill. That way you're not eating that every month. And if that didn't totally ease the situation, then I would do the non-agriculture disclosure on a 30-day notice of change of terms. So you got 2 options. And remember that whenever you have a unit where you're paying the water, it sucks. You don't want to have to pay the water. If you can pass it along using the RUB system, where they're allocating units for usage and things of that nature, you got to be really careful, because if the landlord's paying the water bill, they don't care. They're not going to report leaks to you. It's not their money. They don't care. They'll let the bathroom sink drip. No skin off their nose. The one that got me once is I had a toilet that was running and the landlord got a $1,300 bill in less than 30 days. Damn, that toilet wasn't running. It was running a marathon. It wasn't jogging. It was running a marathon. All right, you guys, unless anybody has anything else, I'm going to get off of here. I will see you next week. And we will go from there. Well, thank you guys. If you need anything else, have any questions, you guys know how to hunt me down. I'm going to get off of here and I will see you guys next Wednesday. No, you won't, because I pushed the wrong button. Here we go. All right, you guys, bye. Oh, wait, there's more stuff. I think it's just people saying thank you. It is. All right, you guys, be safe. Have a great week. Yay, there's light at the end of the tunnel in LA County. Bye.